Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in this Enhanced Campaigns 201 webcast. My name is James Tan, and I look after the mobile search product commercialization in the region. And I have here with me Indri Chakraborty, who is part of the sales technical operations. Indri, would you like to say a couple of words about yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well so far. I'm Indrani. I'm based in Google, Sydney, and I look after technical operations, so work very closely with James and the rest of his team for any kind of technical troubleshooting and product-related launches such as Enhanced Campaigns.
Great, thank you. So before we begin, I think that we're pretty excited about the response we have today. I think we have roughly 170 people on the call, so that's a fantastic response. Thank you all for making the time. There'll be a lot of Q&A at the end of the session, so I encourage you to add as many questions as you can, and we'll try to get to them. Second, I need to do a couple of housekeeping announcements. There'll be some people who can't see the slides, in which case I'll recommend that you enable your pop-ups. This is usually a problem that we face on these webinars. The second thing is, if you can't hear, refresh your browser. Good old-fashioned refreshing usually does the trick. At the end of the day, we'd like you to fill out the survey at the end of the webinar. So those are a couple of the housekeeping rules. Okay, so before we start, I think you can hear us, and I can't hear you. So if you have anything, please let us know via Q&A. I'm sort of used to talking without any feedback because I've got 2 kids of my own, so it's usually an issue for me. Okay, so Enhanced Campaigns. I'm just going to show you what we look like so you have an idea of how we look like. Trust me, I'm a little bit older than I look in the picture, but that's what I call a glamour shot. Let's see, let's go on to the next slide, slide 3. All right, so what we're going to cover today, we're going to really cover 3 things today. How to win on mobile. So this is really the story of why we're doing EC, why it makes sense for the digital marketing space at this point of time. But then we're going to go pretty quickly into device bid adjustments. And this is really how to think, at least at the very high level, about setting bids in Enhanced Campaigns. By setting bids, we mean both the mechanics of setting bids in the new system, as well as an approach of how to set the bids themselves. And finally, we're going to talk about smarter mobile ads and how you adapt the ads in Enhanced Campaign can adapt to the context in which you want to reach your customers. So these are the 3 things we're going to cover today. Just to manage expectations, I think we're going to have roughly 40 minutes of 35 to 40 minutes of presentation, and then 20 to 25 minutes of questions. Again, please submit your questions as soon as you get them. All right, let's go to the next slide. So why are we here today? The lead says we live in a constantly connected world. So what does it mean? It basically means that people move seamlessly between multiple devices, whether at home, in the office, or on the go. So people are the same as they ever were. We still have things we want to learn, find, and do, but technology now allows us to do this whenever we want. It's useful that our online and offline worlds are blurring, and we use digital technology in everything we do. For example, so a couple of the cases we have seen is that we research online and purchase offline. And now we sometimes do it the other way around. We sometimes research offline and purchase online. The example for this is a user walks into the store, Harvey Norman, and then decides to purchase something on its website instead, right? Because it may not be in stock or they're thinking about it. So sometimes it happens the other way around. Sometimes it happens even when you're standing in the store, right? If you want to carry something back or you want to price shop around, you might purchase online when you're standing in the store. So because connectivity is pretty constant, we don't often think about it using it anymore. We just reach for whatever is convenient to us. We reach for a computer, we reach for a tablet, we reach for a phone. So because of this new world, our better understanding of the new world, we do a lot more searches nowadays. So given this context, what's the strategy to succeed in mobile? And here you see 5 strategies to winning on mobile and AdWords. If you think about this mobile search strategy, I think it's been pretty constant, right? Since we started really thinking about mobile advertising in earnest. There are 5 things that we want to do here. First, you want to optimize your bids for mobile, right? So in plain English, you want to make sure your ad gets seen. If your ad appears above the fold, you have a much higher chance of getting seen by the customers because people in search scroll down below the fold. So that's the first thing. Always try to be seen on mobile. The second thing is you want to design your ad text for mobile, right? So this is in plain English. This is you want to be relevant. You want to make sure that your mobile ad text has a call to action. You are saying something like buy now from your iPhone, or your Android device, or use your mobile device to navigate to our store, something like that. The third best practice, the third strategy is to win a mobile, is to build a mobile optimized landing page. Now this is something we in APAC and in Australia have been talking about constantly. You want to be friendly to your users. You want to make sure that when your mobile user reaches your mobile landing page, it's easy for him or her to look at what you're trying to say and the content. And so this is be friendly. And the fourth one is create mobile extensions, right? This is, in English, this is make sure that you be easy to navigate, right? Add click to call, site links, location extensions, all that kind of stuff, and make it easy for your user to click to you to where you want them to see in just a page. And the last one is to measure mobile specific conversions, right? So this is be measured. So that you're really understanding the value that you're getting from mobile advertising. So in a nutshell, the 5 strategies to winning mobile is just make sure you're seen, make sure you're relevant, make sure you're user-friendly, easy to navigate, and be measured. So these are the strategies. The strategies haven't changed, right? If you look at this is what we call the old way. In the pre-enhanced campaigns world, back then, I think the way consumers behave were a little bit different, right? You usually have your mobile device, and then if you have a BlackBerry, you'll be working on email or doing IM. Then when you get to work, you start working on your work PC or Mac. Now the world has significantly changed because of the proliferation of devices, right? You see people with first thing you wake up in the morning, you grab your mobile phone, and then you on the way to work, sometimes you'll be looking at a tablet, doing the same thing, and then when you get into the office, you'll be switching to your laptop or your PC, right? So the way that because of the proliferation of devices, the way in which the users have approached the role has changed. So linking back to the last slide, right? 5 strategies. While the strategy has remained the same, the tactic to achieve the strategy to create is different. Back in the day, we used devices as a proxy for content because we didn't have the tools to help us respond in the more holistic solution, right? Like time and location. We assume that you're on a mobile device. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. So in the absence of those cues, in the absence of the ability to easily respond to them in a tailored message, maybe we became a little bit too focused on devices, right? If we created mobile-specific campaigns, I know someone's going to ask a question for that. So yes, we did recommend that you create mobile-only campaigns, and many teams, right? Not just in Google, but in our agencies and advertisers created mobile-specific teams. So that was the old way, and the old way was actually pretty effective. I'd like to give you an example of T-Mobile, which hopefully you'll be seeing on your slide. This is a big telco in the U.S., and they did a bunch of pretty interesting mobile-only campaigns. Like they use call extensions or mobile search campaigns. They use location targeting and location extensions. And so this really moved the needle. They increased ROI by 20%, increased bookings by 20%, and they essentially tripled mobile traffic. So it did work really well for companies like T-Mobile, and I'm sure a lot of people here on the phone today. But to be honest, it was pretty unscalable, right? The example of T-Mobile, and I'm sure a lot of the cases that we have here in Australia, required a lot of work in campaign management. Since the world has changed in the multi-screen world, AdWords needed to change to make it easier for marketers to tell the story to their customers in a multi-device world. So I guess many of you have taken the 101 training, and so this is mainly a recap. But why does this matter to you? With enhanced campaigns, you no longer need to split your campaigns to modify bids and ads for location or mobile targeting campaigns. So basically, the campaign management, enhanced campaigns and streamlined campaigns management enables you to focus on contextual strategy and marketing objectives and all the stuff that you really want to do for your advertisers or for yourselves, and not the implementation. So that's the powerful thing about enhanced campaigns. Let me give you an example of what this means, right? This slide, hopefully you're seeing the slides with the 3 chevrons running down the side. This basically, you're able to reach more customers with fewer campaigns in the new world. In the old world, because let's say you have a business, right, with 50 locations, it really wants to run ads, bids, and extensions that optimize for every location, 2 time periods like night and day, and 2 devices, mobile and desktop. Very, very simple example. With legacy campaigns, you need to set up and manage 200 distinct campaigns, right? That's basically 50, like for example, 50 campaigns for your individual location, 50 duplicate campaigns for your day parting site links combination, and then on top of that, 50 plus 50, 100, and then you multiply that by 2 because you want to figure out how to do that on the mobile campaign. So there's 200 campaigns. That's a lot of campaigns. There's a lot of work that you need to do to get there. In the new world, with enhanced campaigns, you could have as easily 1 campaign with 50 location bid adjustments. You can have the same thing with schedule extensions and day parting and mobile device bid adjustments. And this is 1 enhanced campaign. So it's way easier in the new world. For this slide, how does enhanced campaigns make it easier to win on mobile? Again, it's a recap for many of you on the call, but in a nutshell, you have powerful marketing tools for the multi-device world, so you can manage your bids across devices, location, on time, right? It's a bit higher for customers on mobile who are within half a kilometer of your store, things like that. And the second thing is smarter ads optimized for your user context, right? So you can create a preferred ad for your mobile and a different ad for your desktop. You have templates to help you create click-to-download campaigns, and these campaigns can scale across desktop and mobile. So this is an example of, and the third thing is advanced reports to measure new conversion types. The 2 things that are on this slide are calls as conversions. I would say this is farther down the pipeline for folks here in APAC, but cross-device conversions I think is going to come hopefully in the early second half of the year. So it's something to look forward to. This is something that with a lot of advertisers have asked for. So we are really looking forward to working with you on this. But again, this is the product team in Google is working pretty hard on this, and we hope to have something to share in the second half of the year. So today we're going to focus on number 1 and number 2, or what you see, the light bulb and the tool, the mobile bid adjustments, and the smarter ads. Okay, let's go on to device bid adjustments. All right, let's get to the heart of the session. What do we mean by powerful tools for the multi-screen world? And what do you mean by the ability to easily manage your bids across location, time, and devices within a simple campaign? Well, to take a step back, a bid adjustment represents a percentage change in your bids. Like, for example, you can increase or decrease, for that matter, every bid in your enhanced campaign to bid more or less competitively for your mobile device, right? So, for example, if I think the user is going to be near me, and I think this mobile user is likely to walk into my store, you can bid more for this. If you don't value your mobile traffic as much, you can bid less for this. So it's really dependent on what you deem to be your business need, right? So in addition to mobile devices, you can set campaign-level bid adjustments for times, days, and locations. So in Australia, we can divide your bids for specific cities, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, Melbourne, all that kind of stuff, other geographical areas, or use location extension targeting to set different bids for your customers who are located around your business. So to give you an example, right, for location, well, let's start from the left. For time, you can bid higher when your business is open. Like, let's say you have a breakfast diner. I want to bid more for customers between 6 a.m. and 11 a.m. for breakfast shops. For location, you can optimize your bid. Let's say you have a coffee house in Sydney near the Opera Cafe, whatever it is, overlooking the Opera House, and I really want to get the tourists. I can submit a bid for that more aggressively than elsewhere. And finally, because I think a tourist around the Sydney Opera House between 9 p.m. and midnight will be more likely to go to my business, I can bid for that customer on a mobile device even more, right? So that's what we mean by tools for the multi-device world. So bid adjustments for gradient bidding control. Let's take a deeper dive into this. Wow, I love this bill. What are bid adjustments? Bid adjustments are made at the campaign level, and they are percentage increases and decreases, really applied on top of the keyword and ad group level bids as to improve performance. So again, the bid adjustments are made at the keyword level, and this is really on top of the bids that you set at the keyword and ad group level. So it really works together to improve performance. And in addition to this, more than one bid adjustment can be applied to the same campaign and layered on top of each other. So like I mentioned earlier, let's see what this means. Okay. Yeah. So for example, device, right? You could bid differently to optimize your ROI in your mobile device. You can bid more, you can bid less, as I mentioned in the last slide. You can bid higher or lower for certain geos, right? The example here gives you New York City, but obviously, in depending on your location targeting ability, you could bid higher or lower for your cities in your country here in Australia. And your business location, right? So within half a mile or half a kilometer of Joe's Coffee House, or the example I gave in the last slide, bidding for half a kilometer for users within the Sydney Opera House, so you really want them to come to your bar or restaurant. So same thing here. I mentioned this in the last slide. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, how does this look like in the AdWords front end? So as mentioned earlier, in this training we're going to cover both the implementation, how this looks in AdWords, and then in a second we'll get to how to think about how much to bid for this. So you want to adjust your device location at time of day bids here, right? If you go to the Settings tab in AdWords, you can see location, the scheduling, and devices. So let's take a closer look at your bid adjustments. So setting your bid adjustments, you can set your bid adjustment for your mobile device. So what you see the second line here, I'm not sure if you can see it, but if you could look at mobile devices with full browsers, you can say increase by 50%. So you can increase your mobile bid by 50%, and that's how it looks on the front end. The tablets with full browsers there, you can't set a bid adjustment there, but we just put it there because we have reporting purposes. So if you look at that, don't get confused by the tablets with full browsers. You can only set a bid multiplier on your mobile device with full browsers, right? Again, taking a step back, you do have the ability to create your keyword level bids for your desktop campaign, but for your mobile multiplier, it applies equally across all the different keywords in your campaign. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I have I sell shoes, right? I want to put a dollar bid for someone I sell shoes accessories. I want to put a dollar bid for users who want to buy shoelaces, but I want to put $2 bids for users who want to buy shoehorns. If I set a bid multiplier of 50%, this is going to be $1.50 for shoelaces and $3 for shoehorns. So that's what it means. Like, you can change your keyword level bids at the campaign level, but you can't set the bids. You can't change the bids by different keywords at the mobile level. So I hope that makes sense. In addition to that, let's see. You can set your bid adjustments between minus 100% and plus 300%. So basically, in plain English, you set it by minus 100%. It means that you're opting ads out on mobile devices with full browsers. Your ads will not show. This will be a desktop and tablet only campaign. If you add plus 300, again, this is 4 times, because of the way that the math works. You can increase your bids by a maximum of 4x your desktop bids. Okay, so let me give you an example for this of stack bid adjustments will multiply. So your multiplication is that you have a device target. Let's say we have a $1 bid, right? On the left side, you have a female user in Palo Alto, which is near the Google office in California. You can specify it's like, hey, I want to bid for a mobile user. I want to pay 10% more for this. I think people in Palo Alto have a higher propensity to buy from my store, so I'm going to bid 20% more for that. And then I think 7:30 p.m. on Friday is where I see a lot of traffic because everyone is just really wants to start recovering from the work week. So I want to pay 5% more for a user on 7:30 p.m. on a Friday. So essentially, you get 1.39 times your desktop bid, right? The math of this is actually pretty simple. You just need to add a 1 or subtract from a 1 for all these stuff. So for example, on the device level, let's say I have a $1 bid. On device, I want to bid $1 times 1.1 because you have device, and then you want to multiply that by 1.2 to get 20%, and then you multiply by 1.05, right? And if we've been doing the math right, you get 1.39% bid. So that's what we talk about in devices on the example on the left. On the example on the right, let me walk you really quickly through how the math works. Using a laptop in Mountain View in Google, probably a nerd like us working at Google coding late into the night, so not very interesting. And you want to, but Friday they get out, we let them out of their cages, and they want to go out on Friday, so you want to pay 20% more. The math for this works like this, right? You get $1, a laptop, so it stays at $1. In Mountain View, you want to take away 10%, so you multiply by that by 90%. So it's 90 cents, and then you multiply that by 20%. So by 1.2 to get someone who's out on the Friday, on the Monday. So you get 90 times 1.2, so you get 1.08 times a bid. So the key message for this is that these stack bid adjustments will multiply. So that's what you have there. Okay, let me start moving a little bit faster. We're running out of time. Selecting a bid adjustment. This is how it looks like in the front end as you are upgrading your bids. You see a couple of things here. You see a couple of scenarios, increasing by 50%, decreasing by 50%, keeping your bid the same as mobile, desktop, and tablet. But most importantly, you see the stuff there with that radio button decreased by 10%. This is what our economics team have created together with our AdWords team, and this suggested bid is based on bids from other similar advertisers, meaning advertisers who have already broken out their campaigns or mobile-only campaigns. Sorry, advertisers who have either upgraded campaigns with similar keywords or had mobile-only campaigns in the previous world, right? And we create a benchmark based on this. We will not get into the details on how this benchmark is created, except to say that it's based on a peer group. It's based on something. What my engineers assure me is geometric average. I didn't even know that was a word, but we have our economics team looking at working with the AdWords team to create something that makes sense for most of our advertisers. So yes, you'll see this decrease by 10% here, and yes, depending on certain keywords, you might see higher bids on mobile than you have on desktop, depending on the vertical and the types of keywords you have in your campaigns. So I hope that makes sense. So we can go into some of this in the Q&A if you have questions, but that's basically the mechanics of setting your bid. Now let's start talking about how you account for mobile conversions, right? The second part of this section that I was telling you about. So basically there are two types of mobile conversions. You have the simple good old online conversion, and you have offline conversions. You have purchases in the mobile, by the way, all this stuff here is US data, but we will have Australia-specific data in the next couple of months, or if not weeks. We are running this in the back end, trying to work with a research firm to analyze the research, how the multi-screen users for Australia. So we should have this localized for Australia relatively soon. So I do beg your indulgence, but I think you'll find that a lot of the trends we're seeing in the advanced markets, English-speaking advanced markets, I should say, such as the US, the UK, Australia, Canada, tends to be pretty much in line. So with that, you can say your online conversions tends to be, you purchase in your mobile, you can download an app, right? You can purchase in-app. If you download an app, you have a lifetime value of a customer because you have a customer who really wants to interact with their brand or really wants to purchase something online. And then you have cross-device research, right? Shopping. I want to go to Margaret River Vineyard on holiday, bring my kids there. On the way to work, on taking the train or the bus to work, I can look at, start researching that on my mobile device. And then when I get to the office, I'll book something online, go to Vesta Felix or something nice like that. Offline conversions, this is stuff that we don't do very often, to be honest. We don't think about this. You make a phone call, right? A lot of people forget that the smartphones are actually still phones, and you're allowed to speak to human beings on the phones. I know, and at least people here at Google prefer to email and IM rather than speak to a human being. But for most people, you can actually call an advertiser, and for some conversion types, it makes sense to actually call an advertiser because it's just a lot faster and a lot easier for more complex sales. Directions for physical location, right? You click on your location extension, or you click on your website to get to your you click on your phone to get to your phone website, and then you find your nearest store, for example. You walk to the store. Those are pretty powerful use cases, right? So having laid the foundation for the next slide, let me give an example of advertisers who frame mobile conversions too narrowly. And again, this is a very, very simple hypothetical advertiser, right? Let's call this advertiser A. This advertiser, she invests $600K in mobile advertising in the last quarter, in Q3. But, they only got like 10,000 orders at $30 each. So if you think about the ROI, right? You spend $6,000, you get 300. You spend $600, you get 300 grand. Not very good. Most CFOs, most CMOs would not be happy with this ROI, and rightly so, right? Rightly so. But then what we've found is that it's actually pretty important to consider all mobile conversions to capture the full value of mobile. So with the same example, right? You pump 600,000 into your your campaign, don't forget to think about actions that could be creating, conversions like store locator clicks, right? Calls, app downloads, cross-device activities. So to better understand what we're calling the full value of mobile, you start analyzing these mobile actions and assign an independent value to each of these actions on the likelihood of actual conversion. Let me give you an example, right? The stuff on the left, you have 60,000 calls, right? What is a call worth to you? You get this for an insurance company. If someone calls you and wants to buy health insurance or car insurance, this could be a multi-year contract. This could be worth a lot, right? It could be worth, in the hundreds of dollars. So for that, simple math like, I get 60,000 calls. Of those calls, X% actually convert into paying customers, and then you assign them a value. In this case, $3 a call, right? Same thing for directions, clicks, right? How much is a click for someone who clicks on map does it mean to you? For example, if we worked with a customer in the U.S. and another one in Japan, saying that if you have all these people, how many of them actually click on get to your store location, right? Get directions. Of these get the directions, how many actually walk into the store? And of those who walk into the store, what's the conversion rate, right? So given the simple structured thinking process, you can assign the value to your clicks. And then finally, you have your app downloads. And this is someone who wants to download your app, right? If someone downloads your app, if you're a performance-driven advertiser, this person will have a seamless experience purchasing something from your mobile app. If you're a game developer, you acquire another customer. If you are a brand advertiser, this customer will be more likely to engage with your brand because they're playing a branded game or information about the app, right? So what's the lifetime value of the customer? And if we value the app, we're going to pay up to $5 per download, so be it. It'll be fantastic. So given the math here, right, you can say we discovered $90,000, another 190,000 extra conversions. So if you do the math, you found, considering all the other stuff, beyond the 300,000 in e-commerce orders, they found another 380,000 in additional value, right? So this is good. 780,000 from additional value. So this is a 30% ROI, which is a good amount of return. So long story short is, as you are creating your bids, right, as you are thinking about how much to bid, there are two things you can think about this. You can think about your full value of the mobile paying customer and do that, or you can use how much you paid, how much you bid in the old world when you had the mobile only campaign. And so those are two examples on how we can think about bids. Okay. So another example of how much advertisers value the bids. We've seen, right? We'll fly through this slide very quickly. But on average, Australian retail advertisers tend to value mobile bids a lot, right? They tend to value bids at 103% of desktop. U.S. real estate tends to be 91% of desktop, and Canadian travel tends to be 88% of desktop. So this is basically just an example of selected verticals by countries who are really into mobile and how much advertisers on average set their percentage in desktop. So long story short is, as you're setting up your mobile bids, please think about how much the click is worth to you. Think about how much you've learned from setting up mobile only campaigns if you have that already, and use that to determine what's best for you as an advertiser. Okay. So just going through this relatively quickly, we alluded to this. Your campaigns will now run across all devices in enhanced campaigns. Your mobile bids will be adjusted at the campaign level, and it's fully controlled by advertisers, right? Right now, everything is in your hand. Back in the day, when you opted in your mobile campaign, Google applied an automatic bid adjustment there. to discount your mobile bids, but now everything is fully controlled by the advertiser, so it gives you a lot more control. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, tablet bidding strategies will be aligned with desktop. So it's really the same as it is in desktop. Okay, last part, smarter mobile ads. In the interest of time, I will go through this relatively quickly, but I think this is more straightforward than the other section. So smarter mobile ads, what does this mean? You basically, you can customize your message for mobile, right? As I mentioned about 15, 20 minutes ago, you can create a specific call to action for your mobile device. You can play around with your site links, right? You can have, your extensions, the site links will only show on your mobile devices at certain times of the day and disappear when you don't want it to show. And third, you can really drive app downloads. This is a new ad format, making it a lot easier for you that within Enhanced Campaigns that we have launched recently. So moving on to the next slide, I'm going to show you examples of what this looks like in the front end. You can see here, right? You can change your headline description and site links for your mobile device. You can have a specific call to action for your mobile device. And most importantly, if you're looking at your destination URL, m.macys.com, you can have a mobile landing page right for your mobile device. And if you think about where we were about 3 to 6 months ago, to do this, you have to break out another campaign. And now with this specific campaign, you could create it all within one campaign. So this is actually a really, really powerful tool. It was a request that we've heard from many advertisers as we were developing this Enhanced Campaigns. Device preferences for extensions. You can send users via site links to a specific mobile landing page in time, right? For instance, if I'm an advertiser and my store is open during the day, I want to send my mobile user to a store located during the day, I can create a site link just during the day to send my user to a store locator. My stores are closed. I don't want them to go to the QVB in the middle of the night. I can send them to the mobile commerce landing page when the store is closed. So this is actually a very powerful tool when used correctly. Let's see. And here, mobile search extensions. This is basically best practices for call extensions. You have examples here on just keep making sure that you have both site links and your call extensions and location extensions here, right? And again, as a side, some of these can code trigger depending on the quality score, depending on the user intent. So you can enter as many into the campaign as possible and let the AdWords system do all the hard work for you to predict what the user will want and what the user intent is. So let me just make that clearer. Okay, going really quickly to ad extensions. This is a new template for ad promotion. We have significantly upgraded the click to download functionality and created a content ad template in Enhanced Campaigns. The big news is you can obtain information directly from digital store like Google Play and the iTunes App Store. So advertisers don't need to specify which device, which OS and campaign settings, and just create an ad linking to the iTunes App Store or the Android Google Play, right? So if a click to download app, if an Android user clicks on does a search for that, only an ad for Google Play will show, and the same thing for iTunes. So this is a pretty powerful tool. And the big thing is there's a lot of bling here, right? There's a lot of stuff that gets pulled in automatically. You have your app icon, your pricing, depending on how this app, user rating. Sometimes the user rating might even show in the app itself. But again, all this depends. All this, is available now in this new ad promotion format. And the good thing is, click to download, a big request for many of our users. Advertisers is also launching on tablet in line with Enhanced Campaigns. Okay, what does it look like? Let me give you an example. PayPal, you see that. You free download from iTunes, and you get your PayPal icon and price displayed. And then ad extensions. How does this work, right? If you go to AdWords, the way to navigate there is to click on Ads, the Ads tab, click on New Ads, and then you got your Ad Digital Content ad. And then once you click on that, you basically have two. You can select your ad promotion tab, which is the one on the left, the one that looks like a mobile phone, and then here, you can actually create the mobile promotion ad. And the big thing here is that you can create one ad for both for both tablet and mobile device, because Click to Download has launched. So this is a really powerful tool to drive Click to Download campaigns. Okay, so I think we are right at 40 minutes. As promised, we're going to try to move to Q&A. I'm going to wrap by this section, right? Marketing for a constantly connected world. We honestly do think this is great news for you as advertisers, and it's a hope that you'll be able to take advantage of this, more powerful, more simple tool to provide a better experience with your ads for your customers. So that's it for this. Before we move to Q&A, I would say there are already a lot of questions in the Q&A, so I do apologize. We won't be able to get to them. We only have 20 minutes, and there are more than 100 people on this call. We'll try to bucket these questions as much as we can. But for tough questions that we can't answer, we won't be able to answer all the questions. Some of which will need to go back to our colleagues in Mountain View to answer those questions. So with that caveat, let me go to the first question. The first question I think is around tablet messaging. Why have you grouped together tablets and computers in enhanced campaigns? You've been telling us to think about tablets as the third screen. Why are you lumping together tablet and computer categories? That's a very good question. That's a very, very good question. It's a question we've heard from a lot of advertisers. And the reason for this is, similarities in user behavior, converging advertising performance, and the blurring of lines in device categories. Tablets are used most often at home in the evenings. So let's take a step back. We've seen, based on our research and the queries that we've seen, that tablets are used most often at home in the evenings when they are starting to replace desktop usage, right? We've found users on tablets search for very similar topics as computer users at the same time of the day. And this will not be any news to you, right? A lot of CPCs and conversion performance between tablets and computers is very close compared to the mobile and desktop. Tablets and computers are very, very, very close. In addition to that, I think the number is like 1% of advertisers use tablet targeting to customize their ads and bids from computers, right? And the final thing is, with the introduction of more touchscreen computers and tablets with detachable keyboards, like you've seen this in some of the interesting devices that Lenovo is putting out and Microsoft is putting out, it's getting harder to classify devices. So in the near future, the distinction between tablet and computers will fade away. So that's a question I've seen from a couple of you. The next question, I think I'm going to get Indy to answer. It's a question from Matt from Experian. So Indy, can you take this question, please?
Sure. So there are a few questions in there that, like James said, we probably won't be able to get through all of them. But there's a question on bid modifiers specifically and the strategy behind still maintaining a separate mobile versus a desktop campaign. So if you really want to go that way, then it is still possible, like James had mentioned during his presentation, that you can set mobile bid modifiers to a -100%. And this would technically mean that if your bid is the default bid is at the desktop level, then your mobile bids will be significantly reduced. This will not completely stop them from serving, so, but it will be significantly reduced to the extent that you are basically opting out of mobile. And if you are inclined to separate your desktop and tablet campaigns from mobile, then this is one of the strategies that you could in fact take. There's also a confusion around how much of a mobile bid modifier that you can apply. So the minimum mobile bid modifier is a -100%, whereas the maximum is actually 300%. You cannot apply a 900% bid adjustment on mobile devices. 900% bid modifiers, 900% bid modifiers can only be applied to your location targeting or to time of day targeting. There's also a question on how does mobile location work, and this can actually be a couple of different factors, right? So when you're on your mobile device, typically you could be using wireless or let's say your GPS. So those wireless through triangulation also gives a very strong signal as to where you're located, whereas GPS is obviously more accurate. It could also be that you include a location query in your location parameter in your query itself. So that would be another factor that would be taken into account for mobile location. Before passing on to James, I also see that there's a question on scheduling call extensions. And yes, it is possible to schedule your call extensions without actually setting up scheduling for your ads. So for instance, you could have the same ads, text ads run throughout the day, but you could have your call extensions, for example, only be scheduled to appear during 9 to 5, which could be your working hours, or based on your, if you have a call center that's taking up the calls, then you could set up the call center hours for the call extensions to run. So yes, in fact, you can do this separate from the ad creatives. There's just, okay, passing on to James for the next question.
Okay, this question is from Matt, Open Colleges. While I understand this won't be recommended, I want to know if you could still separate your mobile-only desktop campaigns and use bid modifiers to reduce mobile bids. So the headline for this is you can create, if I'm perfectly blunt, you can create a desktop-only campaign. You cannot create a mobile-only campaign, right? The only way you can sort of synthesize a mobile-only campaign, again, we don't recommend this. We think advertisers would want to advertise across the different platforms. But you know, if you have specific needs, for example, like Indy said earlier, you can only increase your mobile bids by 4x, 300% 4x, right? So depending on how the auction is, the differences in prices between the desktop and mobile auction, yes, you may be able to quote unquote game the system if you do a very low desktop bid and increase it by 300%. But again, it really depends on your specific query vertical. It depends on so many things that it's going to be very, very hard to create a mobile-only campaign. But that's a good question. There's a lot of things that people have been asking. Other question from Anthony. Will we be able to see a report on device split, including tablets with enhanced campaigns? Short answer is yes. You can still see mobile reports by platforms, including tablets in enhanced campaigns. You won't be able to bid on it, just to reiterate, but you will be able to see reports. People are asking us, why are we doing this if you can't, why do we only have reporting for this and not bidding? The answer is you want to give as many information to the users as possible, right? The best example I could give for having a tablet reporting without tablet bidding is, you can actually take the information and use it. For example, if you see that you have high bounce rates on your tablet website, what's going on, right? Do you need to create a responsive design tablet website that you need to reduce flash? You need to make it more user-friendly for your users, and things like that. So that would be that would be an example of why we're giving tablet reporting. I think that if you look further down the pipeline, we would be increasing our reporting capability to give you as much information as possible. So stay tuned for more stuff to come. Next question is from Makito. Are these notes and previous webinar notes available? Yes, I think they will be available. Our marketing partners here in Google will post them, and we'll make sure that we'll get it out to you. A lot of this stuff is also available in your enhanced campaigns microsite as well, and I'll share the link with you at the later on. But yes, James has asked, enhanced campaign is only relevant for search campaigns, correct? Right now, we are this campaign is this training is obviously on search. There will be parts of display that will be impacted by this as well. I think there's a separate implementation process for that, and we will post some of that on the external microsite. But it's a separate process between search and display, separate timelines, separate recommendations. Like, for example, you have different for complex bidding display users, there's going to be a different complex display and device bidding. So display honestly is a little bit more complicated, but we will provide more training materials for that soon. Okay, Flavia. Indy, do you want to take this question?
So the question is on Conversion Optimizer and the ability to actually be able to apply bid modifiers. So Conversion Optimizer does take very strong signals already from how you're getting conversions and your performance in general. So this is why you will actually not be able to apply, well, you will be able to, will not be able to apply any bid modifiers for Conversion Optimizer enabled campaigns. That being said, you would still be able to apply a mobile bid modifier to -100% if you absolutely do not want to serve on mobile for any reasons. So that is still possible. So that's the question on the Conversion Optimizer. There's also a question on AdWords Editor, and the specific question is, how would you bulk upload mobile creatives? AdWords Editor has been updated with the ability to mark or label creatives as mobile preferred. So this functionality should also be available through the AdWords Editor. There's also a question on specific scheduling of creative, and that is not really possible. You cannot schedule a particular creative to appear during a particular time. If you want to do that, you would actually have to go ahead and set them up separately. These cannot be in the same campaign and be scheduled to appear at different time slots. So ad scheduling, not at creative level, but you can schedule extensions and you can schedule the campaigns to appear at certain hours or time of day. All right. Here's a question on call tracking. So I know this is a much awaited feature. At the moment, call tracking is only available in the US, UK, and Germany. But fear not, more countries will be added very soon. We'll keep you posted once this feature becomes available in Australia. There's also a question around being able to track URLs for desktop versus tablets, and also whether, sorry, let me just read this again. Site links can they be tracked individually the same as desktop and laptop? Yes, it is possible to track site links at the link level, so you will be able to see individual link reporting. You will also be able to mark specific site links as being mobile preferred. So these site links will only appear on when your ad shows on mobile devices. In terms of reporting, there is a new segment being introduced which is called This Link versus Other, and that segment will be very useful for you to actually view reporting at a site or link level, site link level. So compare one link to the rest of the links in that particular cluster of site links. So please feel free to look through it. It would be called This versus Other. James, do you have any last questions that you want to take up? We have just 3 minutes left, I think.
Sure. Okay. Let me go through. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to go through this very quickly. So pardon my roughness. I'll try to do more quicker rather than fewer in depth. So Andrew, why do we not? So we can't do specific carrier targeting anymore? Correct. You cannot do carrier targeting. You can't target Optus, et cetera, Telstra anymore. What we do recommend is to use specific keywords so that you could find users who are looking for like a servicing request on Telstra, Optus, and all that stuff moving forward. Let's see. Can we decrease bids by minus 100% for clients with a crappy mobile site? You can. Is it possible to, next question, I think there are 2 questions. Can you only create desktop-only campaigns? Yes, you can. Just reduce the bid by 100%. It will not show on mobile. Is it possible to get, this is from Roberto, possible to get how the previous slide data was calculated? I think there's some stuff available at the the external AdWords site, but I would say this, right? If you want to, just when you're doing the math, just use 1 as your bid and multiply it by, and just, if it's 120%, if it's plus 20%, make it 120%, so 1.2. If you want to do minus 10%, make it 90%, right? So just take away the math and you multiply that together. So the example I gave earlier, let's say you have a bid of $1, you want to increase device by 10%, you want to decrease locations by 10%, right? So it's basically 100 times 1.1 times 90. That's how the math it works. But yes, there is some stuff on the external site. Apologize, it's confusing. Took me a while to get that as well, but so I totally understand. But the long story short is just, the percentage-wise is plus 100 plus. Let's add to 100% or subtract from 100% and multiply that by 1 to get an understanding. Let's see. So smart pricing will cease to exist, correct? Yes. From Sam, smart pricing will cease to exist. The reason for this is we're giving, like I mentioned earlier, we're giving the control back to you as an advertiser. You can choose to keep the same smart pricing price. You could choose to increase it. You could choose to lower it. Again, do whatever's best for your advertiser, taking into account the full value of what you're getting there. Can we use absolute figures on bids instead of percentages? On the front end, this came from Michael. In the front end, you will see, unfortunately, it is the inputs are at a percentage level, but at the, let me have a look here. At the impression level, right? If you go back to that slide, we don't have time to go back there. But if you go to the front end, you can say increase by 10%. Sorry, let me slow down. The question was, can we use absolute figures on bids instead of percentages for multipliers? The question is no, you can only use the percentages, but the front end will help you understand what this means for clicks, how much does it increase your clicks, how much does it increase your impressions, and most importantly, how much will the cost increase by? And the cost is going to be $1 increase for the campaign, right? So I hope that clears things up a little bit. Indy, do you want to take next couple of questions? I'm looking at line 25 from can you schedule mobile ads to a specific time? Just those 3 questions, and then we wrap.
Sure. Okay. So we did talk about the mobile ads at a specific time. You can set up the scheduling at a at a campaign level, not at a creative level, but you will be able to set up scheduling at extension levels. There is a question here on how the history and QS of the account will be affected. This is a very good question, and in general, if you are already running your ads across devices, then your quality score should not be affected, right? Because you will still be running across all devices. You're basically just upgrading your campaigns and then making use of the enhanced features such as ad scheduling, bid modifiers, location scheduling, so on and so forth. If you've not been running on any other devices except desktop, for instance, then you will have the benefit of additional traffic coming from mobile, and that would always be included in your history of the account. So you will build up that history, and even then your quality score should not get affected. The one thing to keep in mind about mobile is that your landing page should be what we call mobile friendly. So as you know that on mobile devices, flash heavy sites will not really serve, or they are not the best user experience. So this is something very, very important to bear in mind for with enhanced campaigns, because you will be opted into mobile devices. I'm being told that we have run out of time, so we will stop with the questions now. But please do know that we will try to get back to you over email to all of the questions that remain unanswered. Thank you so much for all the questions. I'll pass over to James.
Thank you so much. I think before we wrap, thank you so much. The last thing I would say is there were a couple of questions around granularity of location changes. There's no new changes to the AdWords and location targeting capabilities. So whatever we have in Australia at the city level, we don't have sub-city layer yet. Sorry, but we are working on that, separate team. So with that, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for the fantastic questions you've asked. Like Andy said, we'll try to get these questions back answered and back out to you within the next couple of days. But again, thank you for your help. Please do fill up the the survey, so we know how we're doing and how we can improve it, so the next sessions will be more useful to you. Again, thank you so much for your time today, and have a great day.